Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I bring you a special episode of the Urantia Book with Nick Curto. Greetings, Nick. How are you?
Never better, Hercules. Thank you so much. Of course, this is the day before Easter, and boy, we're getting ready for some very bad weather here in Manhattan in New York City. It's supposed to be sometimes thunder showers tomorrow. And of course, this is a wonderful day to be on Fifth Avenue and see the amazing, amazing costumes that people from all over the world wear on Fifth Avenue for Easter Sunday, right in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral. It goes from 42nd Street to 57th Street, where Tiffany's is, and people are wearing the wildest outfits. Women are wearing, and men are wearing hats, sometimes 12 feet tall, with flowers in them and bows and everything. I've seen people with live little rabbits in their hats, believe it or not, but they were trying to be very gentle with them. And a few people were on soapboxes preaching. And there were literally tens of thousands of people that do this. It's if you're ever in New York on Easter Sunday, don't miss it. So, all right, let's go ahead and start. My name is Nick Curto, and this is the Urantia Book with Nick Curto. I'm your host, and it's my honor to have a program like this. I've been reading the Urantia Book now for over 35 years. It's been one of the brightest lights in my life. It's changed the way I look at myself, my neighbors, my relatives, the world, and the world population, as well as the universe. It's changed my life and deepened it so much. And I just am so thankful and so grateful that I found the book, or maybe it found me. That's always another way to look at it. Now, my program tonight is has one of my very favorite people in the Urantia movement, and a woman, amazing spiritual guide, and Diane Labrecque. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Nick.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
you deserve that. You just do. You really do deserve that. I love talking to you and interviewing. You've been my guest many times, and
Yes.
it's always been a very bright light. It always has. And of course, tonight you're in Canada, and of course I'm in Manhattan in New York City, and we have a very special weekend and a very special night tonight. Would you like to just comment on your personal insights about this particular weekend?
Well, it's a weekend that applies not only to Jesus, but to me, Nick, it applies personally. And first of all, for your viewers, uh, the decor is tame, and that's because we are on this weekend, this special weekend, and so it's a night of vigil. So that's why I have the candles lit up on the table, and that's why the light is dimmed, so that it's a moment of reflection. And what I love about this, Nick, is the fact that it relates to Jesus and his true message, that it all applies to each and every one of us. It is not just his story. His story is our guidance, it's our way. We need to go through that too. And so it is a very important um, no, I would say, I would correct myself and say it is the most important celebration of the year. And what's nice is that it's not just one day, one weekend, one week, it's a whole period of 50 days. And so it's really meaningful because so much of it is described. And in the Urantia book, for your viewers who know the Urantia book, it is described in part 4 of the Revelation, the fifth epochal revelation of called the Urantia book. His life and teachings is told as a bedtime story. I keep saying it's a bedtime story. It's the greatest and most beautiful love story. And yet at the same time, this period to me, Nick, is not just for the readers of the Bible or the Urantia book, or in other words, the Christian people. No, it's for humanity. because we have to remember that in the times of Jesus, Christianity did not exist. It came to be afterwards. And so it's for all the peoples of the world. Jesus belongs to the world and not just to a certain group of people. Christianity is simply a sign that indicates the first believers in the teachings of Jesus, Christ. And so they became known as the Christ or Christians, Christianity. But today, to me, the time has come to discover that Jesus belongs to the entire world, all races, all ages, all denominations, all colors, all countries, the planet. It's time to unite and realize. Actually, a friend of mine, we were talking yesterday together, a friend of mine and myself, and we were saying, I told him that throughout my various travels to the Holy Land, I call it the Holy Land of Jesus, but to the Holy Land, I met several Muslim people who told me that they had seen Jesus in a dream or had a vision or a revelation of some kind. And that friend of mine yesterday told me, hey, Diane, you know what? I totally agree. 5 minutes later, after we hung up, he sent, not even five, 3 minutes after, he sent me a YouTube video and he said, look, Diane, what it's saying. And it's actually saying that now it's by the millions of people in the Islamic religion that are having dreams about Jesus and his goodness and his love. And to finally realize that whether it's the Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, Jewish, anybody, Jesus belongs to the world. He's the Lord and Master of our world, and he came to teach to each and every one of us, to our soul, one-on-one, if we only let him. If we close the door of our consciousness and our heart and soul, he is so respectful that he just stays and wait. You know, one day, maybe one day. But for all the ones who open their heart and soul and their mind, and they open their vision instead of being, like a horse. How do you call that? What a horse wears?
Oh,
Bright bridles,
blinders.
blinders. You know what I mean? When
That's one thing they call them is blinders. Yeah, like something
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, when the horse only sees so much. And so we're asked to take those blinders off
Expand. Oh,
and
yeah,
accept,
yeah.
accept and respect. And then we discover that Jesus is actually a gem. We need to know all that he has accomplished, all that he has said, and that what I also love is that they tell us the story about his trip around Rome. You know, when this man from India, Gonad, and his son Ganid came to Jerusalem, and the father was looking for a translator, and he happened to meet Jesus on the Holy Week, and Jesus accepted to go with him and his son, and that allowed him to go on a big long trip that lasted a year and a half, a year and 6 months. But all this to say, he met people from different countries, from Africa, from Rome, from Turkey, from everywhere, and they learned a lot from him, and he learned a lot from them. He got to know people, not just his people, his Jewish people, but people of all races, of all cultures, and to teach them and to exchange love with them. And it's so beautiful, And so he's the greatest teacher. He's the best. Forget the rest. He's the best, you
Well,
know?
beautifully said, Diane. You're absolutely right on the money on that. My dear friend Robin Jorgensen, he and his wife, uh, Helena, and he ran the most wonderful Urantia Book study group here in Manhattan. And I attended that for many, many years. I was so fortunate when I got the Urantia Book in my life and went right to that study group, which was highly recommended. And it still remains one of the high points of my life to go there every Tuesday night and read with others what the book was all about and to discuss it. And I remember that Robin Jorgensen, and the reason I'm saying this is because of what you just said. One time we read a passage from the fourth section of the Urantia Book, the teachings of Jesus, and Robin said, you know, Jesus is my hero. And when he said that, the room got quiet for a moment, and I thought, boy, Robin, you just said it exactly right. He really is. He lights the way for how we should live, how we should treat each other, and not just in one religion, in all religions, like you're saying, on all continents. And I'll go
Yeah,
further and say, on all the planets. We have to learn to live together and to understand that we're one family,
exactly.
not
Ex
just even one planet, but universe. And and there's some wonderful chapters in the Urantia book about other realms, other worlds that are in the book. I was swept away when I was reading that, and how those other worlds behave and act, and what are their problems, and how do they solve them. And just that alone in the Urantia book is worth is alone is worth reading. But the whole book, 2,000 pages of the most magnificent text you could ever find, ever. Boy, it's
it's
just
a
so magnificent.
revelation.
Yeah, I always really knocked out with this book because it has answered all the deep questions that we have, and
Yes,
in detail, as you know, and detail, which I
absolutely.
love that.
Yes. And it has been revealed to us because the time had come for the world, for the planet, for humankind, including all. Like you said, earlier, and I said previously, when he went around the trip around Rome with Gonad and Ganid, he actually, with the son, who marveled at looking at his master, Jesus brought him to the library to read about the different religions, and they tell us the story of that and the story of each religion, how we have many points in common. It's like click, click, click. So it's not like one is good and the other ones are bad. No, it's an ensemble. But at the same time, the religion not about Jesus, the religion of Jesus stands above in the sense that it englobes us all and it brings us together. It is so beautiful. It's a true revelation, and because the world was ready, there was a time when the Bible was revealed and it became what it is today, and we have more than 2 billion Christians around the planet. And hallelujah, that's fantastic. But it's almost, to me, in my mind, it's almost like it's an upgrade. It's not like one is bad and the other one is good. No, it's like there was a time for this revelation, and now it's a time for an upgrade, even more revelation. And when you make the connection between the Bible and the Urantia book, especially part 4, the life and teachings of Jesus, it's just like, oh my God, many people, many readers call it the oh my God book,
Boy, that's the truth.
They go like, oh my God, I knew about this, but it was just a fraction. And it gives us the whole story. And we go like, it makes so much sense. And then here's another one, and here's another one. And so the revelators told us it is for the next 1,000 years, to prepare humanity for light and life, the future time. And if we look around, Nick, we are swimming in this. We are in that phase of evolution on our planet that it's like the end of a world, not the end of the world. It's the end of a world, and the birth of another world, and the two are crisscrossing. So we see the end of a world where there's a lot of fighting and arguing and this and that, but then there's the birth of a new world, which more and more people are saying, hey, let's try applying love. Let's try treating each other just like Jesus taught. Do unto others what you would want them to do to you. How simple can it be? Love one another like I have loved you. I've met you in all religions, in all countries and everywhere, and I've loved you one after the other. Not just my people. I never preached for my people. I preached for my universe, my people. I'm the Son of God, and I'm here to tell you truth that are way above your knowledge. And over time, over years, you will discover that it is more and more true, and that it applies to every race, every age, every gender, everything, and it frees us. It frees us. And just like that beautiful planet I see behind you,
Isn't that
by
great?
yes, and it matches great with your shirt, by the way. I just had to say it, but the blue against the blue. But there's that light beam just behind you. And that is the new world that is coming up and saying, rise, rise. And so it's so, to me, that's why I keep saying it's the best bedtime story. It's the love story. It makes, because there's 3 levels to know Jesus. I would dare to say that just about everyone on planet Earth knows the name Jesus. If you agree with me, I would say that most people know, at least have heard about Jesus. That's step number 1. But step number 2 is to know Jesus a little more. And gradually we got to know him through the Bible, and now we are getting to know him through the Urantia, plus the Urantia book, not against, but with complementary. It's a complement, an addition. And so we get to know Jesus and to discover his beautiful life and teachings. But that to me is only the second step. The third and final step, just like the Trinity, God, the Trinity works, it's the same way. The third step is to become in love with Jesus. And if we look at the word, it means come to be, not only to know about Jesus, not only to know his teachings and sometimes use it as an ego trip. I know more than they know, or sometimes we see that. No, it's not. It's to become in love, come to be literally in love with the master, so much so that he becomes our inner guide, not from outside, but from within. From within, we just need to have this conversation with him. We have God as a fragment in our mind that follows us 24/7, but we also have Jesus that follows us, who lives within us as the Spirit of truth. His Spirit of truth is Jesus minus his body. He is the truth, you know?
My when I was growing up, my father, being Italian, we went to the Italian church in Springfield, Massachusetts, where I'm from, and I remember that the priest on the altar was talking about Jesus, and one thing he said, and it really was what you just said too. He said, "You're in the home of God. This church is a home. And when you go to visit, what do? You talk to the people in the home. You talk to the host. Talk to him."
Exactly.
And I thought that was just brilliant to say that. You're here, not only talk to him here, but talk to him wherever you are, because he said you have his ear. He wants to hear from you. And
Yes,
once you understand that, and you can go there with your joys, and you can also talk to him with your problems and say, "Please help me. I need your guidance. Can you help me?"
yes,
And many, many times you end up feeling I think I know where my path is. I think I know now the next step. It's a
Yes.
wonderful thing to bring into your life, just like you're saying, bringing it into your life and making it part of you.
That's why they tell us Jesus had the faith of a child. Look at a little boy and a little girl. I mean, who is more precious in his life or her life than mommy and daddy? And whatever mom or dad say, it's like, yes. And they know that they can trust him or they can trust her or both of them. And so that is the same thing. We must feel like little children. If we look at the universe, like you said earlier, we're just tiny little beings compared to the whole universe, you know? So we must be humble enough to bring ourselves to that reality and to say, okay, so God, God is a, how should I say? God is a reality. Naturally, God is God. But at the same time, God is like an idea, a concept, a discussion that we talk about. But God thought to himself, you know what? I'll make myself visible. I'll bestow myself so that I will incarnate. In means inside, karna, share, skin. So I will make myself be born into a man, into a being, so that people, when they will talk to me, even talk to God, they will say, like, yes, we know. Jesus taught us, Jesus told us. And this is why in the Urantia book, it is, even in the Bible, the world knows that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man goes to the Father except through me. I mean, how complicated is that?
Yeah.
No man goes to the Father except through me. Everyone who has seen me has seen the Father. I am the Son of God. Just look at me and talk to me like you would talk to your brother, to your father, to your, you know,
Mhm.
I'm real. I'm real. I'm here. I'm closer than you can even think of. So close that you're, for those who have eyes to see, let them see. So I am real. And even so much so that he said, look, I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that I will survive. The prefix serve means after, over. Vive means live. In French, vivre. And so I will live after this life in the flesh. And I
And
will,
that's absolutely true. And the other part of that is that he, by living his life uh, with such feelings of love that were just boundless, boundless, and the way he treated everyone and women equally, that's important. When I saw that too, that
mm,
at that time, women were not treated equally at all.
right.
In fact, that whole concept really um, is very close to where we live now in 2026. It wasn't that long ago. In fact, I was reading a play. It's going to be a musical, and it's about a woman in New England and how she was just an usher, and because she worked so hard in a theater and popped popcorn and took tickets, and the manager, being older, said, "I want you to be our new manager." And she said, "Well, I can't be the manager because women don't have that kind of responsibilities. We are not allowed." And he said, "You're the best. You deserve this job. I'm making sure that you are the one that's going to be the manager." And she became the manager and one of the best they've ever had. So the whole concept of being treating a woman like equals goes back to when Jesus was saying that's the way it should be. That's
Yep.
important.
And that's why he chose his 12 women apostles. It is not talked about so much, except in the Urantia book, it is revealed, but he had his 12 men apostles, and then he had 12 women apostles. And for the ones who know about the Center for Unity, if they go visit the centerofunity.org or .com, they will find out that there's some great, great, great stories about that and the equality of between men and women, that we are equal. So much so that, you know, when I used to hear the phrase, the expression, behind a great man, there's a great woman.
That's so true. That
I,
is
ch
true.
I changed it to, next to a great man stands a great woman.
Yeah.
Because very often a great man will say, I love my wife, or I love my companion or my lady, and she's the best. Forget the rest, you know. They are equal. They bring a lot to one another and they complete each other, you know. And so whether it's men or women, we're all of the same value. And that's the beauty, because when Jesus said, I am the way, he showed it. And this is why this Holy Week is so important, because when he died to me, we have two ways to look at it, two choices to make. Whether we look at it just only from the dark side or from the bright side. And if we look at it from the dark side, yes, it was a sad day. And this is why we call it in French, like I told you, we call it Holy Friday, because it was a really holy day when they crucified the Master, Jesus Christ. But at the same time, he died to himself, but it was bright because later on he resurrected. And resurrected meaning, look, I can show you that after this life, I will survive. I will live over, but not just him. He is the way. I showed you the way. And if you die to yourself and die to your limited being, beliefs, you know, just like that, and you let me open your, you know, and okay, take them off and listen to my teachings, you will discover that if you really like to be alive and you wish to live, to be alive after this life, I am the way. You know, just have faith, believe in me. And so much so that when he was born, he was baptized as Joshua ben Joseph. But he later became known as Jesus. And even his name, it really marveled. I marveled when I saw that his name, Jesus, is exactly the way. He is the way. So for the ones who know, great. And the ones who don't, I would invite your listeners to Google it and just find out, because they'll be in for a great surprise. When we look at his name, Jesus, J-E-S-U-S, J for Jerusalem, E for Edentia, S for Salvington,
Oh,
U for Uversa, and then S for the Supreme, God, the Supreme Being.
I love that, Diane. That's great.
Yes, he is the way. Like he said, I'm not just going to do blah, blah, blah. I'm going to act. I'm going to show you. When I die, you need to die to yourself, die to your ego, to your own beliefs, not open to other people's beliefs or whatever. My teachings are there to help you. If you only establish a one-on-one communication with me, there's no bridge between him and us or God and us. He is the bridge, but they are one. The Father and the Son are one. And so it's a one-on-one love affair. And when you become so much in love with Jesus, you cannot but be in love with God the Father. And all you have to do now is to have an intimate conversation in the private and talk with him just like you talk with your lover, with your best friend, with your best sister, your best brother, your uncle, your mother, your father, whoever you love. Every time you find someone you love, what do you love? You love to sit with them, eat a great meal, and chat. What do you want to say? Did you know about this and that? You do what? In other words, symbolically, you're saying, did I tell you I love you? I'm so happy to be with you. And then the other one responds, I love you too. And that's when you spread love and love. So
Limitless love. That's that love without borders, without walls.
Yes,
limitless love that goes to not only your family and your friends, but to your state, your country, your nation, your planet, and beyond. And
yes,
limitless
yes.
love that's the whole key, and that's what he lived his life proving every single time. Can you imagine, Diane, actually being there and listening as Jesus is talking? There's a lot of major places in the fourth part of the book, The Life and Teachings of Jesus, where it just is are scenes of him just in usually in the nature on sitting down in fields with rocks and all that, and his followers are around him, and he's just simply talking to them as a loving brother. Can you
Yeah.
imagine actually being there? And I've thought about that. Can you imagine that amazing feeling of being there and listening to him talking? It would not get better. There's nothing better than that. There couldn't be.
And to continue, Nick, can you imagine when people die of faith and they know that they will resurrect themselves, they will survive, and they get to meet Jesus and they go, oh my God, no wonder why. No wonder why I was so impressed by you. I was so in love with you because they see the master for who he really is, truly is, and was when he blessed our planet by bestowing himself in karna, in skin and bones, and to say, you know what? Been there, done it. I know how you're suffering. I suffer too. I know how hard it is. But you know what? I confide in my Father. How about you confide in me when I go? Confide in me. No, I don't want to cry, but how about you confide in me, you know? So he resurrects us himself. And so dying to me is not just dying what he suffered as Holy Friday, as an example, yesterday. No, there's a death that is a long death. People that are on their own, people that are thinking of suicide, they're on the verge of death all the time. So Jesus is the model, but saying, I know about your own personal deaths, and you're not alone. And not just this country, not just this culture. There's people wishing to die all over because they're suffering so much. They're living a slow death. So he's asking us to go beyond that and with faith and opening, just the faith. When I was with the many trips I organized to the Holy Land, the first time that I went alone with Jesus, it was extraordinary. I went in Gethsemane, and I didn't expect it at all. And I wanted to go to a certain place to visit, and it was closed because it was lunchtime and it was closed. But unbeknownst to me, for some reason that only God knows, there was a man with his arms, crossed like that outside and asked me, hello. I said, hello, sir. And this was my first time, so I was very discreet. Can I help you? I said, well, I'm looking for tak, 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 and tip, tip. And he said, oh, actually, it's here, but it's closed. It's lunchtime. It's closed to the public. I said, oh my God, I feel so bad. Because I have other places to go. He said, to make a long story short, come with me. I'll take you in and show you. And he gave me a private tour of the place.
Wow.
Yes, it was very revelatory. And two things that I will mention besides all the other ones. But he brought me to a place at one point and he said, come with me. I followed him. We were standing by a tree and he said, do you see? So I said, well, do you mean the tree? Yes, I see it in front of you and me. He said, no, no, more than that. Do you see? I said, what do you want me to see? He said, look carefully. Jesus, who said, for those who have eyes, like they say, those who have eyes see. I looked and then I went, oh my God, these look like needles. He said, those are the crown of thorns. Those are the thorns that were used in, but it's one thing to see it in a drawing book. It's one thing to read about it in the Bible. It's one thing to listen to people talking about it, but to live it and to see them on the branch and the whole tree. And I said, oh my God, can I take one? He smiled, said, sure, go ahead. I took one, I broke it, Nick. Whew. I still remember. I looked at it and I picked it up and it was like a fine needle. You can barely see it. But then I just went like this and just gently brought it close to my skin. Not like this, just gently like this. And I went, ouch. Oh my
Hurt so
God.
badly. Hurt so bad.
And that was just the tip. I didn't even put it inside my skin.
Wow.
And then I had the vision of that whole crown of thorns put on his head. Oh, that was so transformational to me, Nick. And then,
I can imagine that just drove the point home. Absolutely.
yes,
Wow. Wow.
absolutely. And then he said, come with me. I'll show you something else. Yeah. Yes, I will follow you. I followed him. And then we got to another place. And then he said, do you see that tree? I said, yeah, they're beautiful. Wow. All yellow flowers, just like the beautiful yellow tulips on the table that I have behind. And they were sunshine yellow flowers. And then he said, he himself broke a little piece and he said to me, open your hand like this. I just want to do it right on the. Okay, anyway, he said, open your hand like this. And he
Right.
went with the little, what he had picked up, and he went like this and he did that. And then he said, look at it. Do you see it? And I could barely see something, Nick. I went like, is that something? Or do I have a stain in my head, in my hand, you know? And he said, no, 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 no. Those are mustard seeds.
Oh, okay.
I went, oh my God, right away. What did I think of? If you only had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move mountains.
Oh,
I
I love
went,
that.
oh my God, these are mustard seeds. So during the trips that Jesus made me organize for Urantia Book readers, I made sure to bring them there and to show them the thorns and to show them the mustard seeds. You can barely see them. And so Jesus said, if you barely had a mustard seed of faith, you could move mountains.
I
That
love that.
is
I love that.
living faith.
What a
That was
wonderful story
so
that is.
big.
Yeah.
Yes. And he showed me also what John the Baptist was feeding himself with. And it was all there. What a great man. And he made me visit the whole place. And throughout my trip, time after time, day after day, things like this happened. It was just the hand of God moving along. Nick, I didn't even know. And when I came back 2 weeks after, put me ready. Okay, time to make the first trip, organize the first trip. I had been there to be taught, to be shown, to be brought to the places he wanted me to bring people. So that's what he wants us to do, to die to ourselves so he can fill us of himself. And together we make a team. That's why I love the team Jesus worldwide. And that's what I'm seeing. I've been seeing for the past 10 years, more and more and more events happening where people of various religions are institutional. We men, humans have made organized religions, but the real name, the real word, religion, the prefix re means over again. And then ligare, when the teacher says to a student, you didn't do your homework correctly. Please go back and redo it. Redo your homework. That means do it again. So and then ligare means to link. So religion, religare, and eon, the action of
Oh,
linking again with the divine, living in our HD mode, our human and divine mode, that Jesus came to sow the first seeds of Homo Deus. And so those are all lessons, and people who enjoy life and people who wish that they could live longer than just the short life that we live. If we make it to 100, we're all impressed, big deal. It's like, wow, we made it to 100. What about life eternal? But that has to be our free will choice. And if we have the faith of a mustard seed, yes, I want to believe. Yes, I believe. When we die, we survive. We do our own resurrection. And so those are all symbolic meanings. And Jesus' life is a continuous symbolic meaning for those who can understand and can look and study and talk to him and let him teach them and reveal to them. It's wonderful, And
You
so
know, it's funny when you're saying that I've noticed in the all the newspapers and television reports that it's the people of the countries that are coming out in tens of thousands and marching and saying, enough war, no more, no more. We need
yes,
to go away from that. And it's
yes,
not just the United States, it's a lot of nations now. And and I have to say this, that some of the worst people that are wanting war, we're going to solve it by killing. We're going to solve our problems by wiping that country out or wiping those people out or all that. But it looks like for the majority of the people worldwide, they are not now listening and following that. They're saying enough is enough. And you're seeing that all over the news lately, more than ever. So what you're saying, I think, is very timely.
at the same time, Nick, I personally see it with a bright version as well as the dark version. The dark version is that this is not new. We've been living in darkness for so long. There's been so much what I call fake. There's real, truthful, like Jesus is the spirit of truth. So there are true things, but we've been duped a lot. And we know it goes back to the Lucifer rebellion. And so we cannot judge a book by its cover. Very often we discover, and now I love the term, the great cleansing. There's a great cleansing happening on the planet, and for a while it looks dark, it looks bad, it looks awful, but at the same time it's almost like if a master has a mansion, a beautiful mansion, and he hasn't been there for a while. And in the meantime, there's been all kinds of infiltration of bugs, of mold, of mice and cockroaches and all kinds of things. There needs a time, if the master wants to go back to his mansion, he's going to say, all right, time for a great cleansing. So for a time, you have to look at the darkness and say, oh, time to clean that, time to get rid of this. And so what we are seeing right now is a lot of darkness coming out, but at the same time, a lot of light, of liberation, to see that sometimes what we thought looked good, sometimes, I think of some people in the time of maybe 100 years ago, when some people would do some harm and they would present themselves all tidy and a beautiful suit and great smile, and we need to look like we're really good. And it's called pretend, pretend, and pretend. So for those who are naive and ignorant, meaning we ignore, we do not know the truth, a lot can pass as being the truth, but it was fake, it was unreal. But let the truth come up, and the real truth will show itself, of itself and on itself. And so to me right now, I see it as, like I said earlier, the end of a time and the birth of a new time. So we're going through this witnessing of a lot of cleansing and the truth coming out and searches being made and saying, this wasn't the fact. Look at the fact and this and that, because we took things for granted or for cash, And later on, when we do some search, you find out That is totally the opposite. And we know that there's one Caligastia, they tell us in the Urantia book. The one you call the devil is none other than Caligastia, and he's had so much time to learn about us, to know how to dupe us, to pretend, to make it look great, and all this. So we have to have the courage to question, is this the truth? Not to judge and attack and want to kill one another. First, to ask, is this the truth? And then to pray, God, Jesus, please show us the truth. Let the truth be known, because the truth will set us free. And if we are not scared to look at the truth with a capital T, not the little human truth. Yeah, it's the truth when it's only half truth or a quarter truth. No, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. The cleansing will be done. And then after that, we can celebrate, because at the same time, there's to me, it's a reality that there's been a lot of duping, a lot of falsity. Is that a word in English? Falsity or falseness?
Yes, yes.
Falseness. Okay.
Also, yeah.
Okay. And there's been a lot of falseness, and we are being shown, I think there's one being, his name is Jesus, the Son of God, who is actually making sure that for those who have eyes, we see. And when it is the truth, we can say, yes, it was true after all. And when it's a lie, we can say, time for cleaning up. Okay, that's over. Game over. And let the light of truth set us free worldwide, not one country or not one continent, worldwide. And instead of judging each other, let's look for the truth, the proof. And so it's a big, big time. It's historical and biblical, because
It's a very challenging time. I was
yes,
writing something the other day, and it had to do with the Urantia book, and I wanted to put a tagline before I signed my name, and I thought, what should I write? A little tagline. And then it came to me. It simply said, I wrote this down, and I said, that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I want. It went from darkness to light,
yes,
from darkness to light. And I think that that's going to be where we are and where we're going now. Don't you think?
yes, yes. That's
It's
exactly what's happening. But there's a period that we're going through. It's the cleaning. It's like if my house was a big mess, I cannot just go and say, "Oh no, 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 there's nothing," and I'm playing the ostrich and put my head in the basement. No, I have to look and say, "Oh my God, we need to clean up that mess." But once the cleanup is done, we can all celebrate. So it's not a question of denying. No, it's a question of working together. And the ones who are in the light of truth and love and brotherhood, let thy kingdom be on earth as it is in heaven. And so we need to realize that it is time for that cleansing. And there's some beautiful, 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 very touching happenings that are changing people, changing the world for the better. There was a time for darkness, and now it's time for the light.
absolutely. I feel it deeply that this is a
Yes.
major turning point for our planet. I felt that for a long time, and a lot of people I've talked to said the same thing. We're going to have an amazing future. It's been a rough time going through all the challenges that have been forced upon us, but I think that worldwide people are waking up and thinking, you know what? We don't need any more wars. We don't need to kill anybody ever. We need to love. That's what we
Yeah.
need to do. I'm getting a signal that, Diane, as you know, this program, this hour goes by so quickly, and we're
Yeah.
almost out of time now. With just say a minute or two, can you just give a final thought tonight about now Easter's coming up tomorrow? And worldwide. Just a thought about Easter.
What comes to my mind is that I wish in each and every one to resurrect with the Master tomorrow, who will be the sign, the way of resurrection and to resurrect with him, in him, and to go his way because it's the best. It's the answer. He is the answer and the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And so my wish is that I wish each and everyone a blessed Easter. And for those who are in sadness or questioning or whatever, I pray that a little light of hope comes inside their heart and that after a lot of tears that they can see hope and say, oh, I think I'll be all right, and to go on a new path. And he's the path.
Diane, you are part of the light. You are. And I'm so thrilled that you're on the program. You're already asked back, of course. Just what a delight. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your thoughts with us tonight. And Mel Gibson has been working really hard on what people have said will be one of the movies of all times, and
Mm,
it's coming out in 1 year from now. I
yes.
just read that, and I'm so looking forward to it. I couldn't see his movie, the first one he did about Jesus, because it spotlights the crucifixion, and I couldn't possibly handle seeing on a big screen Jesus being hurt and killed. I literally couldn't go to that movie, even though I was curious about how Mel Gibson did it. But the second movie is well beyond that now to the new
Resurrection.
right the other part of Jesus. I cannot wait for that. It's going to be in
Yes.
1 year, so looking forward.
Yes.
So this is Nick Curto for the Urantia Book. Wishing you all uh, deep prayers of peace and happiness and joy. If you're Christian, of course, Easter is a very special time of awakening, of rebirth, and of love. And I wish you all the very best. Much love to everyone, and I do mean everywhere. Take good, everybody. Bye-bye.
Mwah. Hey, everyone.
Thank you both for another excellent show. And I'd like to wish every spirituality that acknowledges the death and ascension of a deity, and there are many, to celebrate this death and ascension that most people are celebrating tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Hercules.
Good
Bye.
night. Good night.